2 or 3. Let me just read it out of my notebook. Here it is. Yeah, so game. All right. Yeah, so game 1, he had 2 spreading C's. He spreading C's to me out of some of my relevant colors, and I was still hanging on. I still managed to control him. As Foretold showed its strength in the fact that it was playing around the fact that my colors were getting cut off. And I actually, the mistake I made was the 3rd turn after I had As Foretold online. I didn't actually see an Ancestral, but I was trying to set up a balance, and of course balance would have probably won the game. So my opponent still had some creatures on the table. I had cut him off Island Walk again with a timely Abrupt Decay the previous turn. All I had to do was witness back the Abrupt Decay. But there were some other things going on. I don't remember exactly what the board state was, but something was telling me, oh man, you should E-Witness for the Traverse. But I quickly realized it was supposed to be the Decay. Now, so my opponent was a little bit of a stickler. You know who you are out there in the world. Because I think it'd be hard for you to forget me, somebody playing a Sultai-colored As Foretold deck. So I go to reach for the Traverse with my E-Witness trigger. And I'm thinking about it, and I actually talked to a judge after the match. I talked to some other players, and it's totally appropriate for as long as you don't announce and grab and you put it into your, put it straight into play, it's totally fine for you to be deciding what it is you're targeting with Witness. Now remember, I mentioned to you guys that I was exhausted at this point already. I didn't sleep and eat enough between the Legacy and Modern. And so already, and I didn't even realize how tired I was till after that first game, but I was very exhausted. Hadn't really woken up yet. So I'm like weighing the options. I'm like, Traverse. Well, this could be, and I'm like thinking about all the things it could be, and he's like, okay, so you've picked that card. And I was like, well, no, I'm still thinking. And he was like, no, you picked the card's in your hand. And I'm like, well no, like, I'm just thinking about the possibilities of this card. And he's like, no, you've picked this card. And I was like, okay, hold on. And I should have called a judge because I didn't pick Traverse. I was simply holding the card, thinking about the card. And I told him, I was like, well, actually, I'd rather pick Decay. And he's like, no, you picked Traverse. And so I did something that I think I only did because I was tired, and he was just kind of badgering me, honestly, like not bullying. I'm not going to use the word. I mean, I'm 6 years old. He's not bullying me. I'm not going to be bullied by somebody, but it was just really annoying. And I was just like, well, fine, I can probably get something with this Traverse that wins. And I think I have something in mind, but I actually don't have enough mana to use it. So I think that I kind of just let myself, strong-armed, exactly. Like I think I just let myself go with it because I was like, oh, well, I'm kind of already in control of this match. It doesn't really matter what I do with the Witness, I guess, which is a silly thought because type play is important. So those are 2 things that happened, I think, that led to my punt. And you know what he top decks? He top decks, I think, the 4th Lord in that game 2. He top decks another Lord, and he swings for Xaxes. He has exactly enough, I think, to kill me there. And it left a really bad taste in my mouth for the next, few matches. And I think it really hurt me. Because looking back, it was a very obvious line. I just needed to make sure that I didn't die to a top deck Island Walker. I had a Goyf to block things. I had some, like, the Witness was also a body that I just put into play. So I think if I just calm my head and just not listen to the guy or ask him to please be quiet while I'm making my decision, it's something that I don't have to really deal with on Magic Online. I think the conclusion I came to, not that I wouldn't love to do another paper tournament, but I just need to focus on sleep. I need to focus on eating right. If I'm playing a GP in a desert, I need to drink more water. But I need to sometimes just ignore my opponent. He was kind of being a bit, I'm not going to use the word jerk, but he definitely was distracting and using that to his advantage. I think he even noticed that I was tired, and it wasn't the first time during our match against he and I that he kind of, I'm not going to use the word bullied, but just was annoying and badgering me. And yeah, it did hurt my decision there. Tuck says, you didn't sleep the night before. Legacy definitely hurt. Oh, yeah. Doggy says, you didn't let it tilt you at least. No, I still played the best that I could. No, I wasn't tilted. It was a little frustrating. I did talk to a judge after, and he said, yeah, man, I told him exactly what happened. word for word, play for play. And he was like, yeah, man, if you just called judge, like we would have come over there and basically set your opponent straight. Said that no, like you can get the abrupt decay, like you're still. He told me that pros a lot of the time, like they'll do that when they're resolving things like Witness or even Snapcaster Mage. They'll like grab their graveyard and look through all the cards and be like, is it this one or this one? He said that's totally appropriate for you to pick up the cards when you're resolving something like Eternal Witness or Snapcaster. He was like, yeah, you can totally do that. Like pros do it all the time. Like they'll pick up their targets and be like, is it this one? And, like think out all the lines. So at no point at no point did you actually, like, unless you move on with the Traverse, like unless you move on from the Witness trigger, your opponent has no right to tell you what you've picked. Till it hits the rest of your hand, you haven't done anything exactly. And I think I was just tired. I didn't think about that fact, and I should have just called judge. And I think my paper play hurts because I'm not always. It's not that won't. I don't really like doing things like calling judges over, if that makes sense. And there were a few times during both Legacy and Modern that I should have. And I think something that's beautiful about Magic Online is the fact that you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about politics. Actually, there was a judge I spoke to before I even started the Modern tournament, and he totally freaked me out. I talked to a judge about the Restore Balance interaction with Vertold, and he wasn't familiar with it at all. So before the tournament even started, I made sure that I had the exact Gatherer ruling that allows you to do things like Restore Balance and Ancestral through Ask Vertold, because the very first judge that I talked to about my deck's engine, I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool, just want to make sure that the judges at this tournament are familiar with this interaction. He's like, no, that doesn't work. And I was like, well, crap. I'm going to run into the same thing that I ran into at my last GP when I was playing, you guys remember we were one of the first players to be playing the Boom Bust Brain Jar Beck Call deck. And Crazy says, yes, one thing I don't like, some opponents, where I wouldn't say tryhards, but they were taking it above the line of seriousness. Different. Yeah, I mean, it just made it kind of not enjoyable. And I think what I need to do, if I do another paper tournament, is just put my head to the ground and just be like, look, like, some of my opponents I just shouldn't talk to. I think that sucks. I think that really, really sucks. And it almost makes me want to write another article. I remember writing an article after playing GP Charlotte where I kind of had a sore taste in my mouth from some of my matchups. And some of the matchups that I even won, it just weren't enjoyable and kind of hurt some of my love for Magic. It was just like, just not enjoyable, some aspects of it. And I think I came to the conclusion that I much prefer streaming. I much prefer Magic Online in some aspects, and that's really sad for me to say because I was so excited about GP Vegas, and I think some of those experiences, that was not the only match, I just was kind of like, man, this really sucks. Did I hear about a cheating Red Stompy player? I did not, part chat. When I play serious, I tend to be very quiet, exacting minimal random chit chat. Well, the thing was like, it wasn't. I actually didn't talk that much that match with that guy. It was more like I think maybe he saw that I was tired and wanted to take advantage of that. I don't know. Patrick says KLD pretty much gave Paper Magic for Moto. Now, were those some of the reasons? How did we do the GP? We did much better in Legacy. We almost day 2 Legacy. We had 5 match wins. I needed 1 more match win. Tony says, I hate calling judges too. Like you said, it has to be done sometimes. Agree with you about Moto just being more relaxing. Yeah. And it was just like, that was just so sad. Like, I wanted to do my thing. I felt like I had good decks. I felt like we were doing some cool things for the meta, like things like Flush. And I actually only faced Shadow once. So let's move on with Modern. Let's not dwell on this. I don't really want to dwell on it. He knows who he is. You know, that's fine. Just, I think I remember saying something to him after the match. I think I told him something along the lines of, that's fine what you did with me. I understand what happened. But, I would ask that you maybe not do that to some of the younger players, because it's gonna, those are like the things that make people like quit Paper Magic, or Magic in general. And, me being 26, this is a hobby I've been doing since I was 9 years old, it's not gonna change how I feel about Magic, but you could certainly there were like some really young kids there playing GP Vegas. I remember seeing one kid there, his mom was there, watching over his shoulder, because the guy was obviously too young to be alone in a convention. And I was just thinking to myself, wow, like what if this kid, instead of me, had been paired against this very, very just not nice fish player. I don't know how else to put it. I'm sure, I feel like the kid would have quit Magic. There were 6-year-olds who went 5-4. I mean, heck yeah, like that's the beauty of Magic. There's a lot of different people that can play it. You know, it's a good place for people that have like social anxiety or disabilities even or whatever. All sorts of different of walks of life. Age doesn't matter. Like, you know, yeah, definitely fishy. Full Metal, definitely fishy. And that's the thing is like I would hate for one of those kids or players, you know, especially the younger players, to run into a person like that. You know. Doggy says, I had an opponent try to bully me into looking at my open hand before he made his mulligan decision in the legacy portion. Wow. Hey, what's up, Gatling Goon? The actual playing Magic part wasn't what was fun. Yeah. I had a lot more fun meeting you guys. And no, I mean, I had fun playing the game. Just sometimes you run into a stickler. Makes me sad to hear that you had a bad experience. I also had some really cool experiences with some Fish players. Leading up to the GP, I'll talk about the day before a little bit. I tried to get my buys. I blew, well, not blew. It wasn't a waste of the $40, but I spent $40 trying in the last minute GPTs to get 2 buys for us. I didn't get them. Really wish I had, because not only did I lose that first round of Fish, even though I definitely could have won if I just made the right decision with my decay here. I think the deck actually should have been running more decays. You'll see that the later version actually ran more. You know, let me go ahead and show you what the new version of the deck looks like, because I was very excited about what the new version looked like. It had made some really awesome changes. Because I just don't want to dwell on the not positive stuff. Like, after the tournament, I came back to the deck and I was like, oh man, like, this changed, this changed, this changed. And then I played it in some side events the next day and it did much better. Second Scavenging. Ooze. No weirding. What was I on? I was on a main board, second Collective. Collective is really nice because it turns on your Traverse. Actually, for the tournament, I had, I think, a main board Walking Ballista that would get cut. So yeah, Collective. We gotta stay positive, guys. That's kind of what my stream's about. You gotta be positive. Where is the Walking Ballista? It got cut in the later version. It was in the original version. I forgot to put it in. So yeah, we need to get another Brutality for the stream. That's okay. One who's main, one who's side. I think I was on 3 Abrupt Decays by the end of the tournament. Know the feeling. First gets into Magic, being around people. Gotta get past the toxic nature. Yeah, sometimes. Trying to call a judge on me. Finish fetching on his turn makes me put it back all disorganized. You untap. Put my hand on my deck to fix it. He calls judge, saying you missed a Bitter Blossom trigger. Judge sided with you since you didn't move past your upkeep. There you go. Yeah, there were 3 decays. I think I also want maybe even a sideboard Maelstrom Pulse. Oh, it's all good, Justin Noob. Hey, good to see you, Zach. It's all good, my friend. I think I want a second Maelstrom Pulse for this deck. I actually really like the Garrick. Oh, we were on 3 for Told? Which, for the longest time, I thought the playset was correct, but I'm not so sure anymore. Changed the mana base a little bit, made it a little cleaner. I think I added something else. I think I added second Overgrown Tomb to make the mana base a little bit cleaner. Because it is greedy with, like, double Ghost Quarter Bajuka Bog. Yeah, Overgrown Tomb. What else did I change? Something else big happened. Oh, yeah. 2 Inquisition, 2 Thoughtseize. No Goyfs. That was the other big thing that happened. And I know you're like, whoa, BrewSpy. Whoa, this is obviously a Tarmogoyf deck, right? Has to be, right? I don't think that it was. I think that after playing several matches, I actually don't think the Goyf lived during any match except my Storm match. It was either pushed, decayed, pathed, dismembered. The Goyfs just, every game they died. And I'm not saying that means Goyf is a bad card, it's just this deck isn't threat dense enough to justify Tarmogoyf. You kind of need, if you're going to run Goyf, I think in our meta, you must also be running a bunch of must-answer creatures alongside it. And we just aren't in this build. So that's okay. It sucks that I didn't realize that leading up to the GP. In my testing, he didn't seem to die as much. They didn't seem to die as much. But no, they were dying a lot. Goyf's sometimes just a little too vanilla. Exactly, and I think that this deck wants more spice than it does want vanilla. So that's more or less what the sideboard looked like at the end. You'll notice that I cut a lot of the more cute targets. Even like the, like the jailer. So the last 4 spots went to a Thragtusk, It went to, so there's a couple different engines I tried. I'll show you the one that I tried in the GP. I actually ended up renaming the deck. We called it Snakes on a Plane. Zombie fish is what killed Goyf? Yeah, kind of moist. So we ended up calling it Snakes on a Plane, and on the surface this is going to look adorable to you, and there's a couple other cards I'm going to consider and we'll talk about, but it was running